unifying people instead of dividing people. It seems like that is what we should be doing today more than ever, because we see division in everything all the time. And I had, Ricky, the funniest thing. You know how I like to read all y'all's comments, and somebody texted me, I think it was 2 days ago, that said people coming together divides people. I was like, what does that even mean? Like, so if you don't come together, you're divided, and then if you do come together, you're divided. Like, come on, man. I just couldn't help but think, you really can't make this stuff up. Like, people just don't utilize their hearts or their minds to even want to come together in the first place, to even talk. And something that I think is lacking in this country is that we don't promote integrity. Like, if I tell you, Ricky, that I'm going to be there, I'm going to do this at this time, we're going to meet, and for some reason I can't show up, something, I got a flat or I woke up late or whatever happened, as a man, I should call you and say, Ricky, I can't, I'm late because of this, but I'm going to be there, we can reschedule or whatever. You know, if you're at a business meeting or whatever, you know, that's part of integrity. Is if we live in this society where we think we can impose our will on everybody else, well, that's not integrity, that's being a bully. And if we think we can live our life without having integrity, well, man, we get what we have now. We have this chaos where people don't trust each other. Everybody thinks everybody's out to get them. I think, and I could be wrong, maybe y'all should tell me in the comments, I think integrity is one of the most important things that we should be fostering and promoting in this country and this world. Without it, you really have nothing.
It has to be taught to you.
Yeah, it has to be taught to you.
Yes.
Like my stepdad, he taught me integrity a few times with his hand. and it worked. You know, there were a couple of times, and I deserved it. I don't necessarily recommend it, but there were a couple of times where, he popped me on my rear end and I didn't do that kind of behavior anymore. All of a sudden I got filled with some integrity. It was pretty,
Humbled.
Yeah. And I know you've had the same experience. Your daddy knocked some integrity into you.
Yep. All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how goodwill seems confusing everywhere I go. Like, I think we all have this experience. We meet new people, we get involved in different relationships, and we just think goodwill's missing everywhere. If somebody wants to do something for somebody else, you think, oh, well, they must have some ulterior motive. And I just think we're getting in a bad spot that we can pull ourselves out of if we give ourselves a chance. Somebody telling other people that they'll burn in hell forever if they don't like them is the ultimate separation tool. I think it's bad. I heard somebody told me the other day that I personally am going to burn in hell forever because I wasn't strictly talking about Jesus. Wow. Is that an ultimate separation tool? Like, we can't be brainwashing ourselves to think that Buddhists, Hindus, Jews, Christians, different denominations in Christianity, that we are so selective that if you don't believe the way I do, well, then it's okay for me to go drop bombs on you in your country. It's okay for me to separate you and demoralize you the best way I can because you don't believe exactly the way I do. That's dangerous. Like, that's really dangerous. And I just think we're better than that. I think the human nature and soul is ultimately better than that. We've just been kind of brainwashed. And it's just something. Why do we want to help people? I have a friend of mine that was coming out here a lot. And then he said to me a couple of months ago, he goes, why do you even want to help people? Like, why do you want to teach people how to grow their own food? Why do you want to help people come out here to the orchards out there and pick all the free food they want if they come help us prune? Like, why would you do that? Like, he was chastising me. I'm like, man, are you serious? Like, or have we gotten to such a bad place in this world and in our hearts that we say we don't want to help people be food secure? We don't want to help people commune and feel Mother Nature, to walk around barefooted? I was confusing to me. I don't quite understand it. My dad said the same thing. Basically, why do you want to do that? I'm like, well, because I'm human. Is being human now a bad thing? Being wanting to strive just to be a good person, is that so bad, Ricky?
Nope, not whatsoever.
Not whatsoever. I don't think so either. I just think we're meant to do that. We already talked about, like last week, we're social, or the week before, whatever time it was. It's a great podcast. You should go watch it. We have to be together as humans. If we're in an isolation, we go crazy. So we have to be with humans. And if we're going to be with humans, why not try to be the best human? Why not help your brother and sister out? We're all in the human family. And if we get to such a place of a rotten mind and heart where we go, oh, you just wanting to help somebody else is bad. Well, hell, I want to help other people because it helps me. Like, I feel better. I get to learn stuff from other people. They get to teach me something. And in turn, I get to show or help them with something. I just think we're missing out, and I think we're going to turn this around. I just think we are. I have hope. And a large purpose of the body and mind is to explore topics like we talk about here all the time. We have such a huge variety of topics we talk about every Sunday, and every Sunday is way different. And how do we understand the human experience if we don't get together and communicate? Like, how? Instead, everybody just goes, I don't even know myself. I don't even communicate with myself. I can't really communicate with others. I get frustrated fast. And, if you can't communicate with yourself and you can't communicate with others, how are you going to communicate with the divine and the divinity that's all around us? Instead, people, I'm right and you're wrong. Shut up. I don't want to hear you. That's a bad thing to think about. You have that problem, Ricky?
Yep.
That you say, I'm right and you're wrong. Shut up.
Done that a bunch.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
And how stupid is that? Like, it's stupid. I can look at myself at times I've done it and got aggravated at people. I'm like, how in this world can this idiot think this way? You are dumb and I'm right. So screw you. I mean, how this is retarded way of thinking. I don't understand it in myself. And I look in the mirror, I'm like, come on, Kev. Come on, Kev. It's just stupid. And communicate with myself. I tell people that all the time. I said, I communicate with myself. I'm trying to learn myself more every day. And I had a comment on, they called me a weirdo. You're a weirdo for communicating with yourself. And I'm thinking, you might be a weirdo for not communicating with yourself. I don't know. Maybe we're just all weirdos. Maybe instead of judging, we should say, hey, you know what? We're just all weirdos. It's all good. And is it important to understand you? Like, why do we think the way we think? Because mom and daddy told us to? Did we ever examine who and what we are? Do we think, okay, my spouse just made me mad, so why? Why did that make me mad? What stuck? What did I take away from that? What is the root cause of those things? And if we come together and have these discussions, whether it's in groups or individually or by ourselves, what are the ideas and the beliefs and the actions that we take? What do they mean? I mean, we just got this bag of flesh we're walking around in. And if we can't learn ourselves, because it's kind of painful, like when I start to explore myself, why I get mad at people or why I get mad at myself, man, I don't like to do that sometimes. I'm like, yeah, let's think about something else. Let's turn on stand-up comedy and laugh. It's a lot better than looking at myself. Because think, all right, well, I just ate a bunch of fattening stuff that I know is poison and bad for me, so I don't want to even acknowledge that. I'll fix it with working out harder tomorrow. You just blow it off and don't think about, why I just cussed out somebody or why I was disgusted at somebody or like, that's painful to do. Because then you learn that you've got all these faults inside of you. And who the heck wants to admit that? It's something. We have to utilize this communication tool. The divinity gave us the ability to talk. We should talk to ourselves. Just walk around. Everybody in the world, I think, should just be walking around, talking to themselves, trying to figure this life out, and doing it with people you can trust. Instead of everybody automatically judging everybody else that they're out to get me. They're just out to get me. I don't think that. You think that, Kev? No. I don't think so either. And it's hard work. How hard is it for you, Ricky? You've made some massive growth changes in your life in the past 3 years where you would get so frustrated at people, you would want to explode. and to watch your progress, because you do it all the time now. Kevin, I had to catch myself, take some deep breaths.
You have to. If not, you're going to explode on people because there's ignorance all around you every day. And you have to say, okay, they can't help it. They weren't taught like you. So you have to look over them and pray for them and say, because you are ignorant, but there's somebody ignorant than you out there. So I'm just being honest. I mean, you have to say, okay, they're ignorant. They weren't taught, so you try to help them and just move on from there. Like some of the people we deal with on a day-to-day basis, they were not taught.
It's true. We all do that. We all have these judgments, and we all make snap judgments. And I had a good friend of mine. He was my mentor. And he said, if you think you're so smart and you're the smartest one in the room, you need to pick a different room. And I, throughout my years of life, have discovered that is absolutely true. Anytime that you think you're a smart person, you need to go find a new room to be in where they're way smarter than you. How else are you going to advance? How else are you going to test your mettle? How else are you going to either cement your belief system or say, oh, I was really wrong about that. I didn't think about this, and this. I need to readjust the way I'm thinking or acting. There's no way to do that if you're in a room where they don't ask any questions. It's important. I think it's important. And, we're talking about communication and walking around. How do you fully know yourself? And if you don't fully know yourself, how can you ever know anybody else? Like if you don't talk to yourself and ask yourself these fundamental questions, why do you believe certain things? Why are you a Republican or Democrat or independent? Why are you a Christian, a Buddhist, or whatever? If you don't get to the heart of all these issues, why does your spouse piss you off whenever she did X, Y, or Z? Like if you don't know yourself, how in the world are you ever going to know anybody else? Because then you're going to take all your emotions and you're going to project those things onto somebody else, and you don't know if they're thinking that way or not. That's just your experience, and you don't know yourself, so you're just projecting this crap on everybody else. It's really something that the human condition, I think, demands us to be better than how a lot of us are acting. And a lot of people go, what beliefs, ideas, and actions? Oh, I'm solid on my stuff. I'm solid. I've thought about my stuff. Man, nobody is nobody. Like almost nobody. I mean, there are a few. But I just think it's funny. How many times, Ricky, because you've made like leaps and jumps and bounds, and like you're a superhero to me, of how you've been overcoming your own emotions. And I work on it every day, and I'm not an expert at it, but I sure do try. It is, it's difficult. Is it difficult for you?
Oh yeah, you have to realize that everybody, when you're sitting here, you're going around every day and you look around and you're like, well, what's that doing to me? And I'm like, okay, man, you don't know what they're going through on their circumstances of today or tomorrow. What happened to them this morning before they got to work? Or did somebody call them and say they had a loved one pass away in the middle of the night and they're all walking around in shambles today and everybody's wondering, what's wrong with you? Well, we don't know what's going on with them until we ask them. And if we don't communicate with each other, and you can look into someone's eye and say, okay, they're having a real bad day. Maybe I should check on them. Maybe I should give them a hug and say, is everything okay with you? And that's not happening anymore in this country because everybody's divided.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, you make me want to cry, Ricky. I love you. I think something else that I think we should think about on a regular basis is the fact that our senses, our eyes, ears, we taste, feel, like we only perceive less than 1% of what's around us. Like 1%. Less than 1. It's like 0.33 whatever. It's crazy. Like there's so much around us, and I've mentioned this before. I think you might have heard me say this, Kevin and Andrew out here, and you too, Ricky. Like you can't see my voice going to you. You can't see all the ultraviolet rays. You can't see radiation around us. You can't see the microwaves. There's so much. You can't see all the energy that's in the concrete. Like there's just so much around us that we just don't perceive. Whenever we start to think we're smarter than somebody else, we have to realize that we don't know much either. I mean, we might be specialists in a certain thing. I might be able to trim out a house just perfect. I may be able to write really well. I may be able to great neurosurgeon. But ultimately, we don't know much. And we can utilize our feelings and emotions as positive tools to connect with other people so that we can learn more about ourselves and about them and about humanity. And I think that's a big reason why we have a lot of division, because we don't talk about stuff. Did you, throughout your life, Ricky, what are you, 56?
Yes, sir.
How often did you talk about your feelings, your emotions, and what you were thinking to your good friends all your life?
Never.
Never. Never. I look at my father, who I like to call out and bully because I feel like he's, he deserves it. And if you're listening, Pops, this is true. We've never had a conversation about any emotion I've ever had. Never, not one time. So what, and I don't know everybody that's around me, all the men that have been in my life are my mentors, business partners. Almost none of them talk about anything other than specific business, specific stuff that is unrelated to how you think, how you believe, and how you communicate. Everybody just shut up, man up, put up. I don't think we should, run around being Karens or, NPCs and just blabbering off just nonsense. But if we got a true, real thing, we need to get off some kind of trauma, something that's really bothering us, that we need to get it off our chest. That's why we have friends. That's why we have the ability to talk to ourselves. That's why we have a spouse to share our thoughts and our most inner feelings with, and to grow and help expand each other. That's why you have parents, so you can talk to your parent, so they can guide you. I've never seen that, hardly ever. I've seen it a few times. It's pretty rare, and it makes me happy when I do see it. And to have, like my mom is real good about it. My mom is actually incredible. And if you're a parent, this was really good until we became adults and we've kind of gone our separate ways some. But as children, my mom would make us sit down when somebody, we had five, there was five of us. So there's always like, I don't like you. They took this, they took that. And we're throwing something at each other. She would make us sit down, talk it out, even though we're all, angry little kids. I don't want to talk to her. I don't love her. I don't want to be here. And then we had to keep talking, and she started forcing us to hug. You're going to hug them. And we'd hug. Okay, sorry. And she would say, no, you didn't mean it. Hug them again. Tell them you're sorry. And this was a regular routine. So we had to, and then finally it became funny. Finally, the hugs became, okay, I love you. I am sorry. That was like one of the best practices. I've never seen anybody else do it. So kudos to you, Mom. It was a fantastic practice, and I don't know if it worked for everybody, but it worked for us. It probably worked for us because my mother ensured that we would smile and ensured that we were instilled with that love and harmony. And that is just a gift that just keeps on giving. So thanks, Mom. We have to strive to be outside of our comfort zones, just like those hugs. They're like Ricky didn't like hugging me before. Ricky, I would hug Ricky. I could see Ricky, and I could tell he was upset. And I was like, "Come on, Ricky, let me just give you a hug." And he'd be like, "I don't, don't touch me, man. I'm big, strong Ricky. I don't need anybody touching me." Isn't that true? And now what do? He'll see me. He'll come over and hug me just out of the blue. I mean, how many times lately, like in the past month, you'd probably come over and hug me?
Like 10 times.
Yeah. And where before, you got these manly walls up. I don't, no. And now it's so much better. We can give thanks. Like, let's just give thanks to each other. Let's thank our friends. Let's thank our parents. Even if they weren't great parents, like, we still learn lessons from them. Like, I thank my father for not being there because it taught me how to be there. So we can still be thankful. We can be grateful for all the things in our life. If I'm hungry, I can appreciate food. If I have too much food, I can appreciate being hungry. We have to promote our health, our mental health, by saying thanks and respecting others. Like, you don't open a door for somebody. You're walking into the mall or a store, and you open the door, you hold it for somebody, It's not that you're holding the door open for somebody else to say thank you. Hey, I appreciate you holding that door, but it sure does feel good. You know, I caught myself. It makes me think about this the other day. Held the door open for this couple. They walked in and they didn't say anything. And as I'm walking to my truck, I'm thinking, those people were rude. You know, like, what a rude ass for not saying thanks to me just then. And then I thought, okay, Kevin, well, why do you feel that way? I wasn't holding the door open for them to go, thank you. I was holding the door open for me because I thought it was a respectful thing to do.
A generous gesture.
Yeah, so I hold the door open. I don't need somebody to tell me thank you, but it still feels nice. So if somebody does something nice, it's nice to have that gratitude thrown back at you instead of just going, bam, Jonathan walks through the door and he doesn't say thanks for me holding it for him. You know, sometimes, I don't know, maybe him and the wife were in a fight and they didn't even notice me holding the door. You know, maybe she just told him she wanted to divorce his sorry butt. You know, who knows? I don't know these things. So I shouldn't get upset. And I think, we live in these big cities, and so we get out of tune with other people. We get out of tune with ourselves. And I believe we should be in tune with nature. I think we should, like Andrew out here has flip-flops on. I got flip-flops on. It is really good to go walk in the grass. Jonathan has flip-flops on?
Socks.
Yeah, which makes no sense to me. Flip-flops and socks. Who, Jonathan?
Tell him, Jonathan.
So let's just work on ourselves. The whole point of this is to be self-aware, realize that we should be grateful and thankful, that we don't know everything, and if we think we do, get in a better place, get in a better room, be loving and kind, and realize that you don't know everything, and you don't even know why you believe. And if you do, then you're lying to yourself. You are absolutely lying. No matter what you are, whether you're an agnostic, you're an atheist, whatever, just none of it matters. If you haven't explored deeply your thoughts, then how can you communicate well with somebody else? How can you do it? If you like this, if this kind of stuff resonates with you, come out and see us. Like right now, we're fixing to stop this and we're going to go cook fajitas and hang out with each other and help each other and talk to each other. And Ricky here came up with a great idea for September. What are we doing, Ricky?
We're doing a camp out, a campfire and a bonfire, and everybody that wants to bring their tents and come stay out here. The ones that don't want to be in the heat, they can get in the barn. We're going to have the air conditioning going for them.
They were going for me too. I love the AC, but also like to sweat outside, so it's okay. All right, well, thank y'all for joining us, and just remember, we come here every Sunday at 1:30. And sometimes it's a big group, sometimes it's a small group. It's different every time, so we welcome you to come out. And the more trusted friends that we have in our life, the more options we have, the more we can learn from each other and grow from each other and not automatically assume everybody's out to get us because they're not. So thanks. We'll see you next time.